Somebody said it's Wade's word of.
Yeah, here we go. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Somebody say hello, fearless talk. You know how we do it in this space. We try to get our healing. Hey, it's Wade's word of the day. 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 Wade's word of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Wade's word of the day. Y'all got that intro down yet? Y'all got the lyrics to it. Y'all know how to, y'all know the words. Wade's word of the day. Wade's word of the day. Wade's word of the day. When I see y'all in person, I'm gonna be like Joe Clark. Sing the theme song. Sing the theme song. Sing the theme song. I want to hear y'all say, Wade's word of the day. Wade's word of the day. Wade's word of the day. Yeah. Hey, it's Monday, and y'all know that I love Monday, so I'm just cutting up because I love Mondays. Because Monday, what'd you say, Leon Winstead, not Joe? You had to be on site. Hey, what's that Wade word theme song? Yeah, y'all know I love Mondays. I get excited about Mondays because Mondays for me is a fresh start, new chance, new opportunity where I can put the mistakes of the past behind me, the mistakes of last week behind me, and press forward into a new week, a new opportunity, a new chance. I know there's some people in this world who don't like Mondays because they think about, oh, I got to get up and go to work. But here's the reality. God has blessed you to be able to do that. And so there's nothing like Monday because Monday says, hey, I got another opportunity to get it right. And can I tell you, that's really grace, another opportunity to get it right. Another opportunity to make those corrections where you need to make those corrections. And so, yeah, I love Monday. I love Monday. Yeah. Because Monday says you can put all of that stuff that messed with you on last week. Where can you put it? Where? Back there. You can keep on pushing and you can keep on moving. I dare somebody tonight to take your finger and say, I know that's right. Pastor Wade, I know that's right. Duchess Scott, we see you tonight. Thank you for coming in the room. So, hey, tonight I want to talk about this word. I want to talk about this word tonight. I want to talk about motivation. Yeah, I want to talk about that word tonight. And we always try to define a thing first before we get started. So let's go ahead and define the word. Simply, motivation is the reason for actions, willingness, and goals. You know, another is derived from the word motive. When you think about motive, you think about intent. So all of us pursue certain actions, certain things, certain situations, because there's an intent. You know, most of the messages that I've been preaching at the beginning of the year have been intentional because we are looking to go viral. And so when I had to define what that means, I had to spend some energy explaining that through the Bible. And so I'm not just preaching those sermons to be preaching those sermons. It's because this is our theme. This is where we're trying to go in this season. And so I'm motivated to share with you some things that help us to push in that direction. Right? So it's the reason for actions, willingness, and goals. There is something about what I call the mojo, motivation, you know, it's what I love about it is, you can get it. That's the good news. You can get it. You can get the mojo, but you have to be willing to take some steps to move in that space. Sometimes we just don't get where we need to go simply because of lack of motivation. Matter of fact, my wife took baby Faith to the doctor a few weeks ago. And, she got to do that, they call it that tummy time, put her on the tummy so she can practice lifting up and everything like that. And in the reality, Faith wasn't trying to hit that. Faith will walk in that walker, she'll do that thing, but you put her on her belly, she just like, yo, get me up. I ain't trying to lift my arms up. She wasn't trying to do any of those things. And so she went for a checkup and, my wife was just, talking to the doctor about that. And the doctor simply said, well, she's just not motivated yet. At some point she's going to get motivated and she's going to want to do it. That was 3 weeks ago. Now here we are 3 weeks later. Yeah, she's motivated now. She's lifting herself up. She's doing all of those particular things. So to get to any level of success in life, whether you are like baby Faith and you're just learning certain things, there is a level of motivation that is required to finish the job. What's the use of doing something if I'm not excited about doing it? And the truth of the matter is, when you are excited about doing some things, it motivates you to accomplish those tasks. Can I get somebody to say, I know that's right? John Maxwell said something like this. John Maxwell, he used to be a pastor, grew a church, very successful pastoring, but now he is a leadership coach, and he has written several books, great books. If you get an opportunity to go out and pick up one of those books, now, boom, you can, right on your phone, just Kindle it, download it, right there, it's there, and you can get it. But he said something like this. He said, you don't overcome challenges by making them smaller, but by making yourself bigger. You don't overcome challenges by making them smaller, but by making yourself bigger. There's a story of this pastor, and he is, at this small congregation at the time, and he goes to a conference, and he has this opportunity to speak to this pastor who has a fairly large congregation at the time, and the pastor who has a fairly large congregation looks at him and he says to him, "How are you doing?" And he said, "I'm doing pretty good, to be a small time pastor." And this pastor looked at him and he said, "You will always be small as long as you think yourself to be small. You will always be small if you think yourself to be small." Man, that's some great advice in any avenue of life, because sometimes we're not motivated to get to this next level in God, or this next level in our profession, or this next level just in living, because our perception of who we are causes us not to be motivated to get to the next level. We don't believe that we can be all that God has called us to be. And so sometimes we end up settling for where we are, and then we put all of these platitudes and try to act like we're so humble and all of those particular things, when in reality, we do want to grow and stretch and accomplish. But at the end of the day, because we don't think we're supposed to be there, we don't develop the motivation and the tools to get us to where we hope to be. And motivation comes to push us in those directions, to get us where we are trying to be, what we would want to accomplish, what we would want to do, that's what we want to do. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? See, when you understand motivation, you begin to understand, man, that's critical for me getting to where it is that I want to be. And now let me explain something. What I perceive as a level of success may not be your level of success. I'm not talking about apples and oranges. I'm not talking about that. But whatever it is that you believe that God has called you into, you're going to have to be excited about it. You're going to have some motivation around it. It is, in fact, a poor frog who don't love his own pond. I had to dig down real deep. That was one of them old country sayings. Yeah, it's a poor frog that does not appreciate its own pond. So wherever you are in your journey, in your walk, in your space, you may not desire to get to the places that I want to get to. I may not desire to get to the places that you want to get to, but whatever that God purpose is in your life, you have to have some motivation around it. You have to be excited for it, because motivation drives you to accomplish some things. And there's all different types of ways that you're motivated to get some things done. And I may discuss all of them, but I know I'm going to discuss some of them today. Why? Because motivation is crucial, because it allows us to change our behavior. It allows us to develop new skills. Yeah. Somebody say, I know that's right. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It allows us to be creative and to set goals. Sometimes it allows us to see things that we didn't even see before. In other words, it creates new interests. Yeah. Motivation helps us to make plans, but, to get started. If I want to start a business, I get started with a business plan or whatever it is that I'm trying to do. The greatest step to your first step in success is getting started. You got to be motivated to get started. Okay, let me give you a tangible example. There is something that you need to be doing, but you're sitting on the couch. And you keep on looking at your watch because you're supposed to be someplace at a certain time, but you keep on looking at your watch. And your watch is telling you the time is getting closer and closer and closer. But here's the reality. If you don't get up, you could possibly just sit there in the time and the space that you're supposed to be there. You'll never get there. Why? Because you weren't motivated to get up. Yeah, at some point, because your clock, the time is going to keep on ticking. At some point, you got to make up in your mind, I have to be someplace. I need to get up and get going. Yeah, somebody say, I know that's right. So motivation helps me to develop plans and develop my talents. So whatever it is that the Lord is calling me into, it's not enough for me to know that the Lord wants me to do that, but I have to, on certain levels, educate myself around that. I got to do some research. I got to think about what it is that I'm trying to do. I may even have to take some classes. I may have to get a mentor. So motivation drives me to find out as much information as I can. Let me give you an example. Right now, I'm doing this. We are going virtual. We're doing all of these things now. Hey, 2 years ago, in person, I knew how to get down with that. I was very competent, even as it relates to most technology, in terms of social media, getting online and all of these particular things. But once I started to move into this space, I discovered, man, there are still some things that I need to learn in order to be effective at this. Yeah, in order to be effective at this, I remember because if y'all can see here in my studio, I got all of this stuff going on. But in order to be effective at this, I had to educate myself. If I was going to be good at this, I had to get motivated, not to just rest on what I thought I knew, but I had to learn more. Somebody ought to say, I know that's right. So motivation helps you to develop more talents. And so now, while I have a team and I'm grateful for the team and I'm thankful for the team, I don't want anybody to think I don't need the team. The reality is there are a lot of functions where before I had other people do, I can do all of those functions now myself. I really can. I can create flyers. I can create videos. I can create music. All of those things just sitting right here because I was motivated to learn more about that thing that I was getting involved in. Somebody ought to say, I know that's right. So motivation can help you to develop your skill set, pull out talents in you that you didn't even think that you had before. Motivation can also lead you to engage outside of your comfort zone. Yeah, outside of your comfort zone. Yeah, to get involved. Some of y'all right in the space tonight, when you discovered, hey, we're going virtual and all of those particular things. And I remember when we was in person, he was like, hey, I ain't studying no Facebook. I ain't studying no Instagram. I ain't studying no texting. All I need my little flip phone to get the calls when somebody called me. But then Rona came. And that little flip phone wasn't working for you. Yeah, Rona came and you couldn't go to church in person, but you still wanted to be connected. You were motivated I need an upgrade. And I need to figure out how this thing works. Because if I'm going to stay connected and stay engaged, I got to figure out how this works. So you were motivated to learn a new skill, a new task that you never would have wanted to learn before had not certain situations happened in your life. Somebody ought to say, I know that's right. I know that's right. So the benefits of motivation is visible in our lives. I mean, when it could be a life change, there could be somebody who goes from my son, made you learn the iPhone. I heard that, Audrey. Just situations can change your motivation where you can go from, hey, being a person who doesn't smile, but then something new, fresh, and wonderful comes into your life, and now you're smiling. Somebody say, I know that's right. Yeah. And so as we are constantly being pushed to the point where our environments are changing, our motivations have to change, right? Our motivations have to change. What do you say, Linda Smith? You say you got more in God, so much bigger. I heard that. I heard that. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. And so as our environment is changing, listen, our motivations change, that's just the truth of the matter. I mean, I love what we were doing in person, but my motivations have changed. I got to be honest, man. I love doing this. Some folks look at me strange and everything like that, but I done found my new normal. I love doing this. And then once I discovered, man, I could do this. I'm kind of good at this. My motivations changed. And that's all I'm saying for you. I'm saying to you, because our environments are constantly changing, you don't know what's down on the inside of you. If you would just make the leap, if you would just get some motivation around it, you could discover there's a podcast in you. You could discover, man, there's an album in you. You could discover, but you got to be motivated to leap and try and discover and not being afraid of failing, because here's the reality. You wouldn't be alone. If you fail, if you motivated yourself to get out and try and you're not successful on the first time, listen to me, you would not be alone. You would not be alone. But you got to stop looking at failure in the negative context. You got to start looking at it from a standpoint of, I learned what not to do. That's what failure comes to teach us. Don't do it that way. Failure doesn't come to make us quit. And, sometimes, let me say it like this. Let me slow down because I'm getting excited. You have to stop looking at failure as a means to cause you to quit. Failure comes just simply to teach you, don't do it that way. We have these lights and light bulbs because somebody failed over and over and over and over again, but then he determined in the spirit, I just learned, hey, that wasn't the right way to do it. That didn't prevent me from moving forward, and it didn't stop me from pushing. And that's all I'm saying to you tonight. Don't let fear stop your motivation. Don't let failure stop your motivation, because here's the reality. We all fail. Here's the reality, though. If you're going to fail forward. Say, okay, I'm not doing it that way, but I'm going to figure out another way to do it. It's kind of like whatever it is that you're doing. I'll use myself as an example. It's kind of like you get up, you preach a sermon, and you feel like, man, it didn't go the way that I wanted it to go. But you know what I've discovered? The sermons that I thought they weren't hitting on nothing, that I didn't do my best, those were the ones I got the most feedback on. Now think about it. If in and of my own self, I'm thinking to myself, man, you didn't do well, this, that, and other, and you didn't keep pushing, you would let that moment, I would let that moment in time stop me from moving into the things that God has purpose for me to do. So that's all I'm saying. Don't let failure motivate you. Let this idea of there is something better. God is trying to teach me something, so I'm going to keep on pressing. Can I get somebody to say tonight, I know that's right? Yeah, I'm going to keep on pressing. Yeah, I'm going to keep on pushing. Paul said it like this: I'm going to forget those things which are behind, and I'm going to press forward to those things which are ahead, because I am pressing towards the mark. Is there anybody in the room tonight that you've made up in your mind that you're going to let your motivation drive you in such a way that you keep on pressing, that you keep on striving for all those things that God would have for you in your life, that you are in fact going to trust him through it all? Yeah, that you're going to let love motivate you, that you're going to let the peace of God motivate you, that you're going to let the grace of God motivate you. Whether it's on your job, whether you're running a business, whether it's in your social constructs, you're going to be motivated about the passion that you have for life. Yeah. Will you let that drive you tonight? Will you let that motivate you tonight? So how do you do it? First of all, when I begin to think about what motivates me, I have to ask the question of why. Why do I want to do it? Why do I want to be involved? What is my purpose in it? I got to ask the question of why. And I got to discover that not only externally, but I got to discover that internally. Because sometimes my motivation can be pushed by external things. I got to tell you, let me explain to you something like this. Let me say it like this. What you say, Leon? One say, I said, then fear kicks in, and I say, have a seat. Can I say to you, you're not alone? I don't. Can I say to you, you're not alone? Let me say it like this. God always has a plan. I've said this time and time again, if you've been connected with me anytime. Let me give you the 3 stages of what Leanna Winstead just said. She said, I'll say it, then fear kicks in and says, have a seat. That happens to all of us, because here is the reality. God always has a plan. He always has a plan. And I may crush some of y'all bubbles, and he don't necessarily need you for his plan, because he always has a plan. But what he does, he invites us into his plan. Now that's could be your new business, your new journey, your new walk, your new discovery, whatever it is. It's God's plan for our lives. He always has a plan, but then he invites us into the plan to co-create with him. Yeah. As we walk in this journey, as we walk along this path, he invites you and I into the journey. And that's what he says, come take a walk with me. That's what he does. That's what he does. You know, that inkling, that thing that you feel in your belly, that instinct. This is God saying to you, I got a plan, and I want you to participate in the plan with me. Now, when that happens in our life, we're excited about it. If we were in-person church, we would run all around the building. You've seen them folk, they show up, the Lord done told me something, and they dance, and they dance, and they dance, and they dance, and they run, and they run, and they run. And they do that for about 2 to 3 months. And then they discover this plan is too big for me. This thing that God is calling me to do is way bigger than me. And what happens is a crisis of faith. That's the part where Leanna Winstead says fear kicks in and says, have a seat. There is a crisis of faith, because here's the reality. While I'm excited that God is calling me to co-create with him, to partner with him, to come along and walk this out with him in whatever capacity that is, start a business, get married, whatever it is. This crisis of faith comes at the point when we realize whatever God is calling me into is bigger than me. Yeah. So there's a crisis of faith. There is this moment that comes where you have to determine in your spirit, will I break through or will I break down? And it happens to all of us. It's a crisis of faith. You have to determine in that moment, will I let fear win? It ain't just you. It happens to me. It happens to all of us. Anything, even doing this right here. Let me be as transparent as I can. Even doing this right here, when we first started on this journey, and I had to sit in front of this camera, I knew that I could speak. I knew that I could do those things. But all of these questions start swirling in my head. Will people listen? Man, talking for 30 minutes is a long time. Yeah, it's a lot. People don't think it is. It's a long time. Just all of it. Am my camera ready? Well, all of these things you're thinking about, because the enemy is trying to convince you that you can't do it. But here's the reality: if God called you to it, I know it sounds cliche, but it's really the truth. If God called you to it, he'll bring you through it. So when fear kicks in, you got to look at your fear, what we talk about in this space all the time. Hello, I'm showing up anyway. I'm showing up with my fears. I'm showing up with my doubts, because I'm trusting that God, because let me give you the other side of that. There's always a crisis of faith, but if you can press your way in spite of your faith, you'll see what you've never seen before. You'll discover what you never discovered before. See, it ain't Sunday. Y'all about to make me preach, because I done messed around and got excited. Did I just say to you that, there's going to be a crisis of faith, but if you don't break down, but break through, if you don't give in, but keep on pressing, if you don't sit down, but stand up, you'll see what you've never seen, and you'll do what you've never done, and you experience what you have never experienced before. The Bible said it like this: eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor has it entered into the heart of man the things